What's up? What's up? What's up? It is the season of the Gong, episode 9. Episode 9 with the Biscuits. What's up, man?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Polished my forehead real good for this one. So
yeah, polished it for everybody.
Got it nice and shiny for y'all.
Then welcome everybody. But Coley, getting all fired up about the Allison video, huh? How would you guys think of that? And what is this? What is this? Booma, what the fuck? The crying game now? What crying game? I don't even know what you're talking about.
But that was a movie. The crying game was a movie from way back.
Was the crying game?
Yeah. Do you remember the scene in Ace Ventura whenever he burns his clothes and he's crying in the shower?
Yes. That's after he finds out that Finkel is Einhorn is Finkel.
Yeah. That was like I think that was like an homage to the scene in the crying game, the movie. I don't. It's a real old movie. Well, real old. It was in my lifetime, so it's around as old as me, which is real fucking old as far as I can tell.
Well, I'm a little bit older than you, so
it's true.
I guess I should know about it. I maybe heard of it, but it's not ringing a bell. The crying game. He was gay.
I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it.
Coley, we got you your stuff, Coley. So hopefully you got that package and get that out and kick some ass.
Well, let me say that I thought that video was. I mean, it had production quality. It had a twist. I mean, I was shocked, when I found out that it was Lance, and then I was like, wait a minute, was I? Because. And look, first of all, I'm saying was I, and it's not even me. Obviously, this is some bullshit you made up. But I'm saying. I thought, wait a minute. So, I mean, because I've been watching this caricature of me with this old lady, but was it Lance? You know what I mean? And I don't know. I mean, what's going on?
There's so many possibilities right now of what's going on. However, it's not, because I did show you giving a little smoochie in safe and secure bedding right before you guys were whatever you and Allison were doing. So,
but it is definitely weird. But I'll say that the AI did a better job on my hairline finally. So I was sort of like whatever about the rest of it, because the hairline was pretty decent. So
I'm trying to work about. I picked the picture that you were coming into the casino or whatever, and like that had the good hairline or whatever. So I'm sticking to that now, because you're already getting a little bit roasted, I guess, with the Allison continuation. However, it does seem like there's more going on with sticking it to the agency, if you will. So gotta appreciate that.
I'm all for that. Although I will say that is a fictional account, and I'm not in possession of any sort of illicit data, whatsoever, as that implies. I would never be so foolish as to have anything physically in my possession, given the fact that I'm familiar with the pedophile government and the Federal Blackmail Institute operations.
But you do have a tattoo of an encryption key that leads to something, correct?
Well, I mean, it unlocks something, I guess, as they do. But as far as I know, there's no full pictures of it. But I think they got a catalog, that sort of stuff, when they do intake at any of the.
Yes, every tattoo individually, or tattoos are like sleeves and stuff like that, whatever. But you gotta I think you have to try to get every single solo tattoo.
Right.
So that exists. Then they'll take a picture of it, and then they'll be able to use their phone to look at the encryption or something.
Yeah. Who knows? What could be in there? If I'm ever in prison, somebody should hack the prison. And then maybe you could get it. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I just like to cause that type of trouble, any type of trouble I can for these people.
Yes. That's the number one goal, right? Make it tricky for them. And then some people were saying Eminem with boobs was freaking them out. Who was saying that? I saw someone was saying that. That was pretty funny. That was the first time he saw. Well, technically, it was the first time he saw me in that series in the flesh in my dojo. But Lance not only is the Allison character, it turns out, when they think that they've caught Allison and now they're going to have control of their asset once again. But it turns out to be Lance, who also has some leverage in order to void them off. but Lance in the flesh for the first time. And it was creepy actually when I first saw it pop out. I was like, damn, yep, that's about what I think he would look like in real life.
You know, it just occurred to me now that you mentioned that how come fucked up things don't happen to you in this whole series? I mean,
what do you mean? I kicked Lance and broke my toesies.
yeah, but that was like an audio type narration thing. I mean, you know, I think you've got to be put into weird situations more often.
What's going on, Sabrina? What's going on, everybody? Yes, we'll see what happens. I was looking forward to this one though, because it's been kind of in the back of my mind to have this twist where I also wanted people like Coley to be like, yes, the bitch is finally getting captured, and then to be
rug pulled, and then you rug pull all of them.
I rug pulled the fucking agency in the video, and I rug pulled the audience, anybody that was rooting for this to happen, for Allison to finally get taken down. And it didn't happen. So the saga continues, and
you got
Allison still smoochy.
You got me as well. It was like one of those M. Night Shyamalan videos or movies, you know.
Right. M. Night Shyamalan or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man, dude. Growing up watching like The Sixth Sense and stuff. He did one called the oh god, what was the one out in the woods that didn't really get much attention, but I thought it was like
The Village.
The Village. Now, it wasn't the greatest movie, but the idea behind it was interesting. And the idea was like basically a cult out in the woods, and they made all the children and stuff afraid to go beyond the certain boundary because of like demons and stuff like that. And it turns out
just a highway.
Yes, there's the adults scaring them from going out into the real world, and then when they finally break out, they're like on a freeway or something that they have never had any concept of. I was like, that's fucking crazy. But I watched a lot of those kinds of movies. I like psychological thrillers, and then so when it comes to like making these little videos, I gotta keep them under 2 minutes. So it's like I got to tell a lot in a short amount of time. So to make something with a little twist in it like that was kind of fun. I did spend way too much time on it, but it was enjoyable to put together. So there is that aspect of it. But a couple hundred people watched it at least. So here we go. But yes, M. Night Shyamalan. Nice. Well, that makes sense. He's a weird kind of guy. Maybe not as weird as the guy that writes The Stand. Stephen King. That guy, that gal, whatever that is Creature. Anyways, if you guys don't know, and this is your first time on the season of the Gong or the Digital Dojo show, because this is season 2, this is kind of what we do. We just riff. This is Biscuits. We just kind of go with the flow, whatever's happening. I will do a longer video, and I don't want to bring everybody down, but I will say that today's been particularly rough. We lost Stripes. So one of the feral cats that came from the litter. So like the 5 cats that we have indoors, all good and healthy, great. But one of the cats from we've lost 3 of them that have gone missing. Mama Spooks, Peanut, and Derp. We call him Derp because his eyes kind of like were slanted like a cheetah's, but really close in, kind of a thing. But they were all full grown, healthy as far as feral cats go, and they had all been captured in the traps and neutered, and then given mRNA jabs of whatever types, antiparasitics and stuff. And Stripes was the only one that did not get trapped. And he came in, and he's been coming in more, and he was turning into a little love machine. I was petting him. We were giving him ivermectin. We were trying antiparasitics. His stomach was bloating up, filling with lots of fluid. And we thought it was kind of going down. His health, he had a healthy appetite all the way up until about midday yesterday. And then he kind of threw up, and then he became lethargic. And then it was like, oh my gosh. And we got a vet to agree to take him in, and he ended up staying in the house all night. And I kept checking on him yesterday, and he rubbed on me, but he'd mostly just sat down, but he'd be purring and just so thankful for my presence. And then on the way to the vet, as my parents scrambled to get him in there, and they did the best they could. God bless them. My parents are awesome. He took his last breath, and the vet said it was actually feline coronavirus. Yep. And so even if we would have got him in, and I just want to show everybody who Stripes is. So this was Stripes when he was young. And so Mama Spooks had a litter before this, but it was just 2 kittens, and I don't think they made it. We never saw them again. I don't think she was ready to be a mom. And this was the second litter. And in the second picture, you'll see more of the kittens as they're maybe closer to teenage, I guess, or a little after being kittens. So Stripes was this one here in the center, and he was the biggest of them all. So Peanut's gone, has not come back. Monsters stick around and has been the only one that was allowing me to pet them. And except for another one, Callie, that was not part of this litter. But anyway, Stripes was the biggest, strongest of them all, male here in the very center. And all of a sudden he showed up one day and his stomach was just filled with fluid. And but he still had a healthy appetite, and it was just like, what the heck is going on? We just thought it was like overload of like parasites. Started treating him, and I started researching and stuff like that. My mom's been researching when they told us this, and it turns out that it's called FIT. There's 2 versions of it, but in this case, the vet was convinced it was feline coronavirus, and guess what the treatments for it are? One of them is a metabolite of remdesivir. The other one is remdesivir, and then there's another one that's another Vir, some kind of antiviral. So he passed away, and they said it was feline coronavirus, and it just so happens that he's the only cat out of the whole bunch that didn't get fixed or jabbed. And I had noticed his neck had swollen up at one point, and then it had gone down, and he seemed fine for a long time, and then all of a sudden this happened all at once. And it's freaking heartbreaking, and it's really kind of sucked, obviously. So I'll do a bigger video though, because the fact that it was feline coronavirus and he was the only one that wasn't jabbed, and he was amongst all these other cats that were, there's something else going on here, and I'm going to look into it more, maybe do like just a video focused on it. So we'll see what happens, but crazy, right?
Well, it's definitely sad. I mean, that's one, the only thing I can think of that's worse than being a human on Earth is being any other type of living creature on Earth. Because, animals have it, I think, worse in a lot of ways, especially where they interface with humans. But even when they don't, I mean, it's rough living in the wild, Feral cats don't have an easy life at all. And there's, viruses, I don't know, whatever, but parasites for sure. If you go and lay down in the woods and don't move for a few days, you will get consumed by the woods, basically. I mean, nature is brutal. So, I mean, it's, and I had this pet raccoon. I wouldn't say a pet raccoon, but, a raccoon that had lost an eye and basically just, like in the middle of the day, and one hot summer day, kind of stumbled into the yard when I was sitting outside, and it had a fresh injury in its eyeball. It was like a cut across its eye. And, I started feeding it. I gave it some water, started feeding it, cat food and then dog food once I figured out that it was going to come back every day. And it came back every day, and I fed it, and I give it popsicle every day in the summertime. And it was like, it was a trip because it was like my little buddy. But, raccoons only live a couple of years in the wild. So, it's like,
right,
they're here and gone. And you take a house cat that might live 20 years in the wild, 3 to 5 is pretty good when you're out there trying to feed yourself and keep the parasites off yourself and get clean water and avoid getting run over and stuff. So,
right,
I'm kind of familiar with that FIP that you were talking about. If you want to talk, I don't really want to talk about it tonight because it's kind of a downer, but
right,
I'm actually pretty familiar with it. And there's some interesting stuff about it in terms of drugs, biologics that are being brought in from other countries, basically to do illegal clinical trials in the U.S. There's a lot of interesting stuff to that. if you want to try to do a show on it sometime.
Yeah, we're just doing research now because we were kind of shocked that that was what they told us. There was, you know, a lesser version of it where it like could have gotten like hit by a car, that could have been organ failure and something leaking into the gut kind of a thing. But this is a mutation, like a genetic mutation kind of a thing that apparently, so, and they can get it from like feces, and this is the claims. There's claims out there, but we know how that goes. So anyways, we'll save that for another video. We don't want to, I don't want it to be a downer. I'm just going to let you know where my head's at because it's been a little bit hard to like get rocking and rolling as hard as I usually do for this. And I just want to be honest with everybody, and anybody that's telling me don't take them to a vet. I mean, when they're sick and they're hurt, the only way you can take them to a vet is if they have certain protocols now. So it's just like the doctor medical situation is turning into a nightmare also for veterinarian care. And so when we had all these cats, we didn't want them to keep multiplying and it becoming that kind of a problem. So you have to accept what's offered to you in the trap and neuter spay situation, and then you don't have a choice. So in order to make sure that they don't just breed themselves out of existence or to a point where we have to get rid of them and kill them or something like that, or other people start taking it into their own hands, you have to accept that they're going to do this. And so that's what we did. And so like to cut down on the population, we had to do that. But then veterinary care, in order to get an animal that breaks a leg or has a serious injury, take them in there, they're going to have to get that stuff. It's not negotiable unless you're just going to be able to do everything yourself. And if you're learned in the ways of being able to do that, then God bless you. But it's not as simple as some people are, you know, saying in the chat. I wish it was. I really do, because we're knowledgeable on this stuff, but there's only so many things we can do about it. So that's where things are at. But without further ado, let's move on and get the show started. We do have a good show for you. I think Biscuits got some things up his sleeve, but then we got the wheel here. We got the Gong event wheel, which I will pull up now. And we got some great things going on. I don't know if they're behind the scenes. I'm telling you a little bit about them now. The things that we can talk about with GG Co. rocking and rolling, as you see on there with that burnt biscuit. You got the GG Co. little stamp there. We got some major things we're hoping this week for a couple things to kind of come through, and then we're really rolling on some stuff, and we'll get into some of that once we land on this thing. But I hope you guys are excited. Any donations that come in during this show will go to GG Co. Let's do it.
Are we going to talk about
I thought we might make it.
Are we going to talk about the Facebook page?
Okay, yeah, we can get into that.
Are we going to leave that, or I don't know? It's all right. Go ahead. We
should tell people some of the nightmares that we've had just trying to do certain aspects of this.
Well, let me ask you, because you know, when we first, I was thinking like, man, we've been doing these for a long time, and then I was thinking about like the first shows that we did, where I was kind of like, look, I can't really, and like we would be talking offline while we were, you know, talking about the shows, because you know, in the beginning, like we really planned a lot together, you know what I mean, and then it just sort of grew into like we don't really do much planning for the show. I mean, separately we do our part, and then we come together, and it's sort of organic. But like when we were planning, you know, we were talking about stuff, and I was like, well, I can't use banks, and that's not going to work. Like, I can't use that. That won't work for me. And you were kind of like, what are you talking about, dude? But I mean, I'm telling you, it's real, man. It's like a switch got flipped somewhere. And I just get weirdly instantaneously disallowed from stuff. But because of, you said, we were talking about starting a Facebook page for GG Co. And Dorian was like, but I don't really have a good relationship with Facebook. You know what I mean? Like they kind of throttled me. What were you saying they did to you?
So I got thrown in Facebook jail 3 times, and then I appealed it, and they always let me out. But the last time they let me out, they took Instagram from me, which I wasn't even using Instagram at the time, but they banned me. And then in the recent months, they've allowed me back on, but I don't trust it. So I was just posting kitty stuff on there, like kittens and all that kind of stuff. Not really doing a whole lot on there because I don't trust that they're not just going to throw me off again, because Facebook has basically 3 strikes, but they, for whatever reason, have always accepted my appeals. I always joke that DARPA wants to continue to monitor me through my Facebook app, so they want me to keep that damn thing on my phone. But
Does when they accept your appeal, does that count as like an unstrike, or is it just like you've gotten 2 strikes and 2 appeals, and then if you get a 3rd strike, you're cooked? Like that's it?
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think. I mean, they try to make it sound like things are clear, but like TikTok, man, says it has 3 strikes, and they just kicked my ass out 4 times, and Facebook will act like it's a 3-strike thing too, but their stuff's also in this weird area of not really knowing, because I got 3 strikes 3 times in jail, but appealed, and then they always said that I could come. They always allowed me to come back. But this last time, for whatever reason, they kicked me off Instagram, and I tried over and over again to communicate with them and ask them, why did I lose my Instagram? You guys let me back on Facebook. I wasn't even using Instagram. No answer. Gaslight.
So that's the context. At any rate, because of this, we were talking about, just social media from a business perspective. And Dorian said, well, we probably should try to get a Facebook page. But, he relayed this story. And I said, well, I haven't had Facebook in like decades. You know what I mean? So before when they went public, I went through and deleted every individual post I'd ever made. Each post, click, delete, click, confirm. It took hours. I deleted everything, and never, used it since or whatever. So I was like, this is probably like a rare occasion where I'll just set it up, and then it won't be an issue. We can just transfer it, because Dorian was worried about his IP and stuff. So we were on a Zoom, and I was like, all right, let me set this Facebook page up. And I went through the setup or whatever and did it, and literally within a second, got an email that said I was suspended from Facebook. And that was it. I mean, I literally opened the account and got banned before, never even saw the Facebook page. I mean, I put in the verification codes for the 2FA and instantly got an email saying I was banned.
Right. And when you had told me about how you were like the most banned person in banking, I mean, you didn't say it that way. From what you told me, I was like, I've never heard of a guy that's been banned this hard from any kind of banking operation. And so it's like a thing, but I didn't. Now I am getting to witness it firsthand, because it's not just the Facebook thing. The Facebook thing was like just signing up, clicked, and you should be like, welcome to Facebook. And instead of welcome to Facebook, your account is banned immediately. And then we've also tried to like set up another banking thing, and it's immediately been like, it says we got accepted. And then all of a sudden, immediately it says your account's been suspended until this, and this. And now we're going through hoops trying to see if we can get that set up. And it's because of fucking Biscuits. He's like on some fucking list, bro, that I don't even know. It's like fewer on it, but he is there. And it's real.
Well, we do a lot of trolling over here. You know what I mean?
About as un-American as it gets, but this is crazy, man.
I know I probably can't make a reservation for a restaurant in New York City, I imagine. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. If people haven't heard those stories, that's some of the stuff you get on the Digital Dojo shows, where he's talked about during the coronavirus pandemic or whatever, he was calling and making reservations, and then at the last second calling and canceling them after it was like a huge old setup, at a nice restaurant, and they were like, "Oh no, you can come in, you can come." No, no, we're trying to save lives here.
Yeah, one of us doesn't have our vaccine passport, so we'll just cancel the whole thing, And they'd be like, well, no, it'll be all right if it's just one. And I'm like, oh, no, we don't want to bend the rules. This is for safety. It's about public health. So it's like, 20 or 30 different reservations in that city when they were crying about how nobody was spending money and whatever. And for like 12 or 14 people. And then just 30 minutes beforehand, like, well, no, sorry, we're not all vaccinated. We can't go. We don't want to risk it. And then they would get very upset. You know what I mean?
Sure, because that's a lot of money down the drain and a lot of staff they probably brought on to do it. Oh man, I don't even know how Biscuits would pay for a ticket, but I guarantee you he tries to go through TSA and they're gonna give him the old.
I'm done flying, that's for sure.
No, yeah, they're gonna at least have some fun with it and take you in the back room and search all the cavities, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, bro, I don't even,
Oh
It's
my
crazy.
God.
It's ridiculous.
And witnessing it firsthand, I mean, opening a Facebook account and then having them, the next screen, it just opens up, your account is instantly suspended or
It's
your
just
account
always,
is banned.
for so many years, it's been such a trip to me because I see all these, like, truthers, right wing, alt-right, whatever you want to call it, alternative media people talking about how suppressed they are. And I'm like, I'm watching it and I'm like, yo, I can't even, what are you talking about, dude? Like, I can't even get a credit card or a bank account to send you a super chat with money so that I can tell you you don't know shit about it, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even the same ballpark. These people are so fake, man. But it is a trip, like Juxtaposition talks about this all the time, how it's trending towards that. Like these mechanisms that can just be turned off for a certain subset of people. And other people won't even notice, like you can't, it'll just happen. And these people will just disappear from society basically because they won't have any way to really interface with it anymore.
Right. I bet there's a lot of homeless people that have had the same thing happen where it's just like, well, right. Well, if I'm not in the system, then I'm not going to operate the way the system operates. But living homeless, I mean, I can only imagine trying to live that life. But
that's got rough, man. It's like, feral cats got it rough, homeless people. And that's always seemed to me, even when I was like a useful idiot paying taxes and believing in the country and voting, like supporting the war in Iraq or whatever, like, which is so cringe to think about it now. Like, I don't know. I feel like even then it was staggering to me that we have like this ongoing homeless epidemic in this country. And when you look at like I was putting a bunch of pages in the wiki about charities, because everybody's got a charity. Like all these, Epstein had many charities. All these people that are in the wiki have all these different charitable organizations. But like California, LA in general, there's so many homeless charities in LA that are trying to keep, allegedly are trying to keep people off the streets with the CEO of the charity making $800,000 or $900,000 a year. You know what I mean? Just hundreds of those types of organizations. And it's like charity is not even, so that's why it's all called the charitable obfuscation layer in the wiki, because that's all it is. It's just money laundering and pandering to these agendas.
Yeah, and I think they get tax breaks for it for donating a certain amount, and then it usually comes back to them in some form. Before
the vaccine, I think, maybe I'll have to look at this and make a chart or something, but before the vaccine, I think the per capita rate of breast cancer when the Susan G. Komen Foundation started was, I don't even know, some percentage, but it hadn't changed. By 15 or 20 years later, when everything is pink and the Susan G. Komen Foundation is making billions a year, the rate is still that there's no impact. It's just, they're moving money around.
That's how it works, man. It's crazy.
It's just
and that's what we're going to expose. We're getting there. But yeah, they're putting blocks in the way already, and it's crazy. What's up, Don Davis? What is happening, everybody? All right, let's get to this first video, and we'll keep it rolling. There we go.
Every time.
So this data center is powered by waves in the ocean. A new startup called Panthalassa just raised $140 million to bring AI computing to the open sea. Each node stands at 85 meters tall, almost the height of the Big Ben, with most of the structure hidden underwater. Inside a sealed container sits an AI server, cooled naturally by the seawater. And the bobbing motion of the waves forces water through an internal turbine, generating the electricity needed to power the AI chips. There's no engines, there's no hinges, and there's no gearboxes that could break down in harsh ocean conditions. And the vessels can even drive themselves to their destination, using the shape of their hull to propel through waves without a motor. And once deployed, they connect users through Starlink satellites. See, traditional data centers consume massive amounts of electricity and fresh water just to keep their servers cool, which is becoming a serious bottleneck as AI demand explodes. By moving offshore, this eliminates both problems at once, since the ocean provides unlimited cooling and waves provide unlimited power. As AI's hunger for power keeps growing, the open ocean might be Silicon Valley's next frontier. If you want to stay in the loop with the latest in AI and robotics,
Wow.
So I was thinking that's got to be one of the most retarded things I've ever heard of. And also, I don't think it's essentially fraudulent to say that the ocean has unlimited cooling capacity while at the same time screeching about global warming and the temperature of the oceans rising, right? Like, it's just because we need a data center. It's like, well, about global warming, let's just directly warm the oceans, for the data.
Right. Well, it's almost like they're throwing global warming out the window a little bit right now. They'll bring it back whenever they need to scream it, or the Democrats take control, or whatever they want to do with political arms or whatever. But now the data centers are coming in, global warming's gone out the window. Even though these data centers are causing havoc on the fucking environment, especially directly around them. But in the whole ecosystem of things, now you're talking about just like those wind turbine things were like murdering birds and causing problems with the ecosystem and then not being as efficient as they claimed that they were. That's what I'm thinking you're seeing with this thing right here.
Well, that thing is basically
fish and all kinds of
aquatic life. I was going to say, it's a floating slap chop. For the fish. Right. I mean, it's just sitting there running up and down like one of those drink blenders.
They're gonna attract all kinds of sharks because it's just been a chum machine.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it's fucking all kosher. And then it just connects to Starlink and the satellites that are lower Earth orbit that are gonna be mass controlling, mind controlling, and attaching into our WBANs. And mind fucking us for all eternity. Congratulations, humanity. We're gonna win.
The fish and the dolphins on the WBAN stat.
I think they're already on it, man. I think there's something going on with these freaking cats, man, and what they're doing, man. The agenda is so massive right now; it is insane. And I have not heard many people talking about the ways that they're doing it. I've heard Sabrina bring it up, that they want basically a digital twin of everything, whether it's plants, animals, cities, all this stuff, like a digital world of replication. I don't know if they would transition our lives into that in some way, or if that would start to bleed between 3D and digital. I don't know how exactly it works. That's what boggles the mind. But right there is another example of something fishy going on.
Pan the lasso.
Still the most powerful gong on the internet. You'll never find one anywhere else that's as powerful as that one.
It's a bold statement.
Bold as fuck.
I hope we don't get a YouTube strike for that.
We probably harmed some other gong organization.
Some gong company.
It was hateful rhetoric towards a gong distributor.
Now, this is a secret right here that I want to share with everybody, although it is on YouTube. But this is the only way to 100% be sure that the federal government will never, ever cause you any problems about what you do on your computer. But it is surefire. I know Sabrina says there's no way. I know people say there's no way to escape. But this is how you do it. And it's right here, and you can go and do it yourself.
Here you go. Everybody that's always asking for solutions, people, here we are.
Activate Windows 7 Home Premium using Jeffrey Epstein's product key. No. That's not, no, don't. There's no way this is real, right? You can activate Windows 7 Home.
The moment that you do that, you're pardoned of everything that you do on that machine. And whatever you do, if it does happen to get out, they'll redact everything critical. Don't worry.
His reaction, and then they end it. That's perfect.
You can activate.
Wow. What the man? These people are just—they just love to mock us and fuck with us.
But I mean, that picture is available on the same website where I got all of the, well, a portion of the files and stuff that we got for the wiki. The one with his.
So that was Jeffrey Epstein's.
Yeah, the product key off the bottom of his
Product
laptop for Windows 7, you know, which isn't tracked the same way now. So if you have the key, you can just do it.
Unfreaking real, man. Unfreaking real. Oh my gosh. What kind of world are we living in?
That's as close to a ghost computer as you can ever get right there. The feds won't even bother you.
So all the pedos can go grab the Windows 7 and just rock that version with Jeffrey Epstein's key, and you're good to go, I guess.
Yeah. Safe surfing, fellas.
Wow. Fuck, man. Oh, wild, dude. B Masonry.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I've always said like all the hexagonal imagery that you see in so many like live streamers and stuff. And then, you know, organizations like the Hive AI, which is like Mitt Romney and so on. You know, these are commonly symbolism that Freemasons seem to be using now. So B-Masonry is another term that I'm going to be using from now on.
B-Masonry. All right, let's check this out.
Week I killed our queen. Sadly, she was raising some really mean and defensive bees. So today we're going to give our bees a new mama. We first inspected the entire hive to make sure we removed all the queen cells. After about 5 days, there will be no viable eggs for the hive to turn into new queens. Yes, bees can pick any egg and turn it into a queen with the right amount of care and attention. We ended up removing about 12 fully capped cells, which will help our new queen step into the hive without any competition. Right off the bat, our bees seemed to really like her, so we stuck her little cage to a frame and placed it back in. Currently, the bees won't be able to access her until they eat through the sugar fondant, which will allow her pheromones to spread throughout the hive, giving them a little bit more time to get to know her before they properly meet. And how we place the cage is very important. It's sideways for a reason. If you place it upright, the fondant could melt and kill her, and if you place it downward, a dead attendant bee inside the cage could block the exit. And after about a month had passed, I checked back in to see how they were doing. Most of the meaner bees had completed their 6-week lifespan, and her new babies were already so much nicer and easier to check up on. Last week, I killed our queen. Sadly, she...
Wow.
So I saw that and I was like, wow, I didn't even realize you could do that. And I got thinking about all the Freemasons and stuff we have. And I was like, I wonder if we could just do that with them, because the reason that this occurred to me is because recently for the wiki, I built this tool to basically to look into Freemasonry. I mean, I could show you the output of it, but I was thinking about how Freemasonry has worked on the country. And you know, I was telling you about that guy that I found in doing this same research, the worked guy, who was the leader of the anti-Masonic party in the U.S., like in the 1800s. There was actually a political party that was started, like a third party type thing, on the platform that they got to get Freemasons out of the government or out of the country even. And then it turns out that the guy that started that was a Freemason himself. And I was cracking up about that, you know. But I got to thinking about Freemasons, and I was like, the bottom ones don't even know what the fuck is going on. Because the results of this, I'll just show you. Let me just share it.
Okay. I don't know. You're not going to go in depth about this tool that you've created, are you? Or are you?
No. I built a little demo.
Okay.
I'm just going to show
tool.
that.
I mean, man, there's so many things that are being created right now by Biscuits that are you'll find them nowhere else. You'll find them nowhere else.
So the whole point of this thing was like that I wanted to just track across the decades how many people in the government in various positions, and not even just in the government, but in the country, you know, like big time CEOs, you know, governors, things like that, were Freemasons, were openly Freemasons across the decades. So
Right.
anyway, I built this procedure for searching for Freemasons throughout history, all the way back to the starting. Because, you know, George Washington was supposed to be a Freemason. And I'm like, I really love the Constitution. I feel like it's a good document. And I like what it has to say. But then I'm torn because apparently all of the people that, you know, were involved in making it and creating the country, like juxtaposition says, were all Freemasons. So I'm thinking, are they the same kind of Freemasons that we've got now? And what kind of Freemasons do we have now? Because you can go on YouTube and you see these dudes that have YouTube channels where they just basically advertise for Freemasonry, but they're kind of like dumb. These like low-level dues-paying bureaucracy-loving, you know, kind of local government upstart type fellows that are not really menacing and are also, I think, not really representative of the power structure of Freemasonry in general. And what I discovered through this research was that I'm researching not only just lodge records, which are one of the vectors, but also obituaries and commencement speeches at graduations, or, you know, at events, or newspaper articles and stuff that are archived from all the way back, you know, and then you get public records and things when you go back so far. And it's basically like just books and stuff from the start of the country. But so I would just build a roster, you know, like certain governors from like eight or nine states, or like senators, you know, from the same 8 or 9 states, all the way back, and then break them up into different decades and do the search and try to generate the data. And then pull all of that data back together and, you know, run it through the same rigor that we're doing for the Wiki pages with respect to the confidence tiers. Throw out anything that's, you know, like alleged or is not really verified, or maybe it's just a newspaper article or something like that, in order to say, okay, like these people absolutely were Freemasons. And then those people that were, you know, do the same search again on the sort of snowball of names that I would get from people around that. And then if they're real people and they matter, you know, I'll send them into the same research pipeline that feeds the Wiki. But the output of that, and let me pause right here so we can go over some of the stuff. So I took governors from 8 states, flag level military officers, you know, generals, whatever, basically all the way back, secretaries of state all the way back, U.S. senators from those same 8 states, Secretary of Treasury, Fed Reserve chairs, CEOs, attorney generals, astronauts, and the Supreme Court, all of them all the way back. And then I said, okay, how does the disclosure rate of who is a Freemason in government and who is not trend since, because we got 14% overall, nothing higher than like 23% in any of those cohorts. So how does the actual disclosure rate trend over time? And that's when I started to see, like, okay, this is fucking weird, because I'm searching on the internet, right, in the information age, to try to find out who in the government is a Freemason. And if you look at the distribution of disclosure of Freemasonry in the United States, all the way back to the 1700s, the 1770s, particularly, that's as far back as I went, obviously, the distribution of known Freemasons across all of these cohorts is essentially all condensed into the pre-1970-ish period. Like, so again, the information age either is devoid of Freemasons, or it is just that now the data is no longer available in the vectors that the information age surfaces. So, and you can see it kind of just trails off. I mean, which I thought was kind of crazy, but then, you know, you start to realize that that sort of makes perfect sense. It's in the TV, it's in the symbolism, it's in things that you can't really search for anymore. I mean, you can see the disclosure rate is just, it plummets to basically nothing. I mean, so the question that you got to ask yourself, and this is another good one, the question that you got to ask yourself is kind of like, you know, I mean, I still got to do all of these. You know, this is just governors from 8 states, and that's probably the highest density of state governors, as you can see all the way back. But even that plummets off to basically, you know, a very small amount. Once you get into this sort of modern information age or whatever. And I'm thinking, like, we got to figure out a way to do what these bees are doing, which is just replace the people at the top of these organizations, because I don't think we're ever going to get rid of the people at the bottom, even though it should basically be illegal. I mean, it's essentially a religion. And it should be separated from the state because it is a giant church, just like Scientology and a bunch of other ones. Pretty much all of the, you know, the apostate religions, which is just, that's what I consider Freemasonry to be at this point, as a religion. But I was wondering, is it feasible that you could just replace, sort of force in new queens at the top of the Masonic tree and see if it would propagate down? Because that's the only way you could really take that argument and say, okay, well, maybe George Washington meant what he said in the Constitution. You know, maybe the people that wrote the Constitution meant what they were saying and meant it to be utilized to actually create a country that wasn't under the thumb of whatever the sort of crown corruption or whatever it was. But I don't know. I mean, I can't tell. What I can tell you is that Freemasons either disappeared from the federal government around the 70s, or they just stopped letting you have a way to find out. One or the other.
Yeah. So in short, when you were doing that research, you found that it was easier and they flaunted it more. They were more open about it, whether it was in obituaries or talking about it freely about being Freemasons, until almost the time that TV became a thing. When media became even grander on a scale where information was being spread faster, then they started to go a little bit more secret society, if you will.
Yeah, sorry, Hamlet, Chuck said. I misspoke. I meant Hamlet, of course. JD Ham-L going to be the next president of the Hamlet? Pork Lord? Is he going to? We're going to get President Pork Lord?
But then this thing that you built will be a way for it to filter the possibilities that we can identify Freemasons with this tool, correct?
Well, I mean, I put all those hundreds in there if they were moderately interesting. I don't know how you would even go about identifying them at this point, I guess is what I'm saying. You don't, without access to the actual lodge records, which presumably they don't even digitize anymore. Right.
And to their credit, they're not smart, but they have enough, I don't know, maybe using computer programs and people that are smart to come up with ways of deceiving us. There are certain things I think that they do on purpose in order for us to be like, there it is. They do certain symbolism, like in out in the open, so that we all point at these people. Like, I think that they muddy the water so many ways. Or maybe they just mock us because they fucking own everything.
They're deceived more than anyone. And I mean, that's the thing that's always cracked me up about it. It's like these people that are the mundane Masons at the bottom will argue. There's YouTube channels that do it where they sit there and like, oh, it's a brotherly whatever, they try to launder the reputation of the organization by leveraging their own ignorance about it. They don't know. I mean, it's explicit. It's inherent within the system that you are ascending up, becoming illuminated with knowledge. At the bottom, you're retarded. I mean, they tell you that's how it works. You're kept retarded, and by an increasing degree, you become less retarded. Yeah, I said mundane. Yeah, I know the profane are not included, but the mundane Masons are. They're the Rotarian, the co-Masonry types, the Rotarians that clap whenever Bill Gates does a presentation there. They don't get it, or maybe they do and they just pretend like they don't, because that's how you move up the ranks. But the Disney thing was an interesting one, because Walt Disney is basically unverifiably, unverifiable that he was a Freemason, but Roy Disney is absolutely 100% verified a Freemason. So it's a weird juxtaposition between those two characters, in that it seems to be like common knowledge that Walt Disney was a Freemason, but I haven't been able to find anything that confirms it the way that it is absolutely confirmed for Roy.
Interesting. Well, hopefully we can refine the tool and help it point out current day Freemasons and expose more of their bullshit.
We got to trap new queens at the top of the pyramid.
Yeah, Roy was CEO. Walt was probably a puppet, maybe. Not given like full access to the knowledge, if you will.
Well, that makes sense.
Would make sense. And
Jess
then we had...
He's always so fired up. He's such a trip. It's awesome.
And it still has not hit the GG Co.
No, it's allergic. So this is, we're like, people were talking, going, this is what trips me out. I'm always so entertained by Sabrina, because I feel like she keeps going over the stuff and people are like not getting it. But this shit has been around for so long as a utility that was being utilized, by feds and so on. But now it's just open source. You can download it, from GitHub if you're brave enough to use GitHub. They've been getting put through the ringer by some top level hackers lately, but respect team. Please don't hack me.
Right. I've been seeing more and more people coming out with this information that Sabrina, Juxtaposition, Synergists, Dawn Christine, some of these people have been releasing for the longest time, and now it's becoming more and more known, but it is the way it is. Let's check this out. Wi-Fi vision tech without a camera.
Right.
We were talking about that a little bit on the Booma stream, but because some of the stuff that Sabrina has been talking about and some of the videos that have been getting released by other creators, all of a sudden, like it's some new thing. And it's like,
this is literally open source. You could go and download the code for this and run it on a Raspberry Pi or whatever. It's you could order this shit from Amazon and download the code for free. So.
Well, here we go. Without a camera. And just look at that. With like, it can pretty much see your fucking bones. You can see the position that you're in. Standing, hands to the side, at wherever you're moving around in the environment that it's near.
I saw that and I was like, well, let me go and check and see if this is, because you see a lot of shit like that. This could be just a person holding a PCB up in front of a, it's not inherently true just because this video exists. But
Sure.
So I was like, let me go and check this repo and see if this is actually real. And absolutely, you can get it and make it work. And it's not like, it doesn't even seem all that magical when you break it down and think about what they're doing. It's just, they're making radar out of something that wasn't maybe necessarily intended strictly to be utilized as a radar, but all of the same type of data is being generated. And it's just utilizing data that already exists, and,
right.
and processing it in a certain way. And you turn this data transmission energy into data acquisition energy. It's still the same thing. It's doing the same thing. You're just reading it differently.
Right. Data is king. It's like everything they give us that's for convenience, safety, whatever it is, also has another purpose that is their actual purpose, whether it's the military industrial complex or whatever you want to call it. The NATO military is juxtaposition, I think, would say. But yes, it's in all of the ways that, I mean, everything's connecting. Smart TVs, the Ring doorbells, Alexas, all that kind of stuff, LED lights, boosting the signal and being used for these various purposes. All this stuff is being weaponized against us in order for the surveillance state already exists. It's just when they decide to, we were just talking about it at the dinner table. I think don't quote me on this, it's just some conversation and things that we were looking into. But of course, Trump's sons, I think at least Don Jr., invested in some drone company. And I think that drone company is now going to be releasing drones over to the Ukraine. And then to counter that, Russia is creating drone killers. So drones that are like, they target drones. But the drones, apparently for the company, I think that Don Jr. is invested in, they get a target and they get sent, and it's kill or be killed kind of a thing, and go for that target. And then Russia's creating this. And so I'm just thinking, as they're murdering these people and playing with their toys and creating these wars for these purposes, I'm thinking, well, it's only a matter of time before they turn those robo dogs and these drones against us. And then there you are, your Blade Runner future that Sabrina Wallace has been warning about. Yes.
Well, I mean, you know, all you have to do is extrapolate. When you think about these, you know, I think Friedrich Nietzsche said something. I'm not really espousing that Nietzsche was necessarily right about everything. I'm just saying one of the things that he said, I guess I'm paraphrasing, I can't remember exactly, was like, you know, basically, when a man can learn a certain amount about the world to the point where he basically doesn't fit in anywhere in it anymore. And I mean, we're pretty much at that point, I would say, because if he was getting close enough to it back then that it was apparent, I think we'd probably crossed the event horizon, so to speak, where that a lot of people are crossing that line. I mean, and if you extrapolate combine what you're talking about, all of this, the fact that we're being given commercially and even open source a lot of this technology is a clear indication that it's already been deployed for so long that it's basically been superseded and it's obsolete. There's something better. But if you think about the system and you extrapolate the truth of it, you're talking about robot dogs. Why would I be afraid of a robot dog that's property of the government if I wasn't already afraid of the government? I mean, and that's the reality of it. People are terrified of AI. People are terrified of robots. But the thing that you're really terrified of is the fact that the only people in this country who are allowed to murder American citizens are federal employees and state employees. That's it. They use violence as a means of I mean, there was like a video recently of some guy that had killed a cop, and I'm not advocating violence against police. I'm saying there was like hundreds of cop cars surrounding this guy's car on the highway. It was like every cop from, you know, like a 60-mile radius or something. If that had been an 8-year-old kid or something that got killed, there would not have been 140 cops around. You know what I mean? It happens all the time in cities. People get killed. People get killed by the cops, and there's not that many cops around. Nobody cares. It's just normal fucking, you know, churn, cost of doing business or something. But the federal government is allowed to kill you in the street, in some facility of theirs. They can get away with it. They can justify it. The state government can do the same thing. They have a means of putting paperwork together in a certain sequence that means that nothing will happen if they have to kill you. If they say they have to kill you, and they do. I mean, maybe some mediocre, like meaningless amounts of money will be exchanged hands afterwards in order to sort everything out. Some employee will get a paid vacation or something. But, you know, like what happened to Dean was essentially the federal government deciding that he should be in prison and setting this diminishing cascade of lower context at lower levels of government being given to other agents and agencies, to the point where it got down to local law enforcement, and they they don't even have enough of the story to even interact with Dean like he's a citizen. It's just already a foregone conclusion that he's going to go to jail, and they're going to pick him up. And if he doesn't like it, if he doesn't go quietly, I mean, he could probably be killed, and they would be justified in doing it, because the moment a cop or a federal agent is afraid for their life, they can kill you. As long as they can justify they were afraid and it's reasonable, then your life is forfeit. But if every American citizen is afraid of a robot dog that's owned by the federal government, nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. Go and vote on it or something. I mean, it's crazy.
It's fucking
national
scary.
security, yeah. National, but I mean, but it's not. Maybe it's not. I don't know. The documentation is an interesting thing. Like, they built a system out of documents that are flawed. That's one of the reasons I love the Constitution, because it's not a flawed document in my estimation. But we were dealing with this Coley thing. These documents that these midwit, mediocre lawyers that work for gigantic insurance companies, malpractice insurance companies and law firms that represent giant hospital corporations and the hospital corporations themselves, they all have procedures and processes that interface with the regulatory documentation of the government to create this lattice, this bureaucratic nonsense that's supposed to just stifle people until they pay their bills. And that's what they're trying to do to Coley. But in putting those things together that way, and in letting retarded individuals who are self-serving, blood-sucking parasites, like most lawyers in the healthcare industry are, letting them put them together basically means that the mesh is not well woven. There's a lot of loopholes, and there's a lot of ways that you can cause them trouble, even if you can't get what you want. And I swear, I think that's what we've been reduced to, is that people that are my age, there's not going to be any Social Security for you, guaranteed. There's going to be no safety net. If you want to be a husband or a father, I mean, I don't know. I can't really recommend it. I wouldn't want to have a kid here. I would never forgive myself if I trapped someone else here, to be honest with you. Certainly not someone who had, a higher than average statistical probability of inheriting this cursed intellect that I've been stuck with, so that like the eternally depressed Friedrich Nietzsche, I've discovered that there's an amount you can learn after which you basically don't fit in anywhere. And I mean, I think there's a sweet spot if you want to get born in America, where if you're not above this smart and you don't go above this level in business and whatever, you'll never learn so much that you won't fit in anywhere. So if you can hit that sweet spot, maybe it's great to have a kid and put them there. But I don't know, dude. I feel like if everybody in the country that's so dispossessed and disaffected in my age range would just say, you know what, people say this. They're like, oh, they're going to put us in camps. And I'm like, well, do you really believe that? Because if you did, it seems like you start acting different. Like, why are you saving money in a treasonous bank in order to retire if you're certain you're going to go to a death camp? Why don't you start acting like the government's going to put you into a death camp and planning to make that as tricky and impossible and painful, metaphorically, for them as you can? Why don't you plan, to be like a pufferfish whenever they do finally come to eat you? If I had kids, they would use them against me. I understand that I would do anything to protect them. And I'm saying extrapolate that out to all these corrupt government people. I don't think they're all necessarily corrupt because they chose that from when they were a kid to grow up and be soulless husk that sells out their country. But I think if you have kids and you're in a government that is run by a blackmail system, what do you think is going to be leveraged against you? If you have a family, if you have a wife, if you have children, that is what will be leveraged against you. Why do you think Aleister Crowley said love is the law? Because that is the leverage. So I'm saying, if you, like me, I mean, I love people. I love a lot of people. But I learned the lesson that everything that you love gets used against you. And
Right.
So, I'm saying, I also have a particular set of skills when it comes to documentation, I guess. And I think it's worth it. I mean, at least to prepare for it in a weakly dominant way, where if you're going to make decisions, if you think that it's inevitable that the government of this country is going to continue to get more corrupt, if you think that they're going to put you in death camps, or that you're going to end up retiring in prison because you have no other choice, or you're going to be homeless, or you're going to be locked out of some sort of digital economy or whatever, you think all that stuff is true, then stop acting like you're going to retire. Stop acting like you're going to get that house down in Coral Gables on the water and relax for the golden years or whatever. I mean, pick one, story or the other, and then start acting like it. And I mean, I'm not saying that means go out and do crazy stuff. I'm saying it means make the decisions where, if that turns out to be the case, the result in terms of what you get for your ROI on those decisions is as good from your perspective either way. It's, look it up. It's game theory. It's a weakly dominant strategy. And it's the best way to handle anything in this country, if you ask me. It's the strategy that we're going to apply with Coley's thing. It's the strategy that you should always try to apply, because the weakness in the corrupted system of the federal government and the state governments in the United States is that they have erred because of their inelegance, because of their selfish midwit nature that they select for. They've erred towards the utilization of just purely dominant strategy, which means like we're just going to basically proceduralize and codify in law that we can kill you whenever it's justified. So this is the type of thinking that I'm doing whenever I'm saying I'm getting this tattoo decades ago, is because it might not matter, but in the event that it does matter, it's a LOL from my perspective, not from theirs, And so I think we're building this business. I want it to be very successful, but I'm not building it to retire. You know what I mean? I don't even expect, you've seen the mechanisms that I've put in place for what I suspect will probably eventually happen. I mean, this thing is not the thing that I'm building for me. Because I'm not planning on that. I'm not pretending like that's going to be the case. I don't think it will. I'm planning to have, to do my part, because I do love the Constitution. I love the idea of this country. And it's a fucking tragic shame that we can't just get our shit together and lead by example.
I like it. I appreciate what you do, brother.
Well, thank you. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant, I guess. But
well said.
What a time to be alive.
What a time to be alive, eh?
Yeah, too late to explore the seas, too early to explore the stars, just in time to shitpost on Facebook, unless you get insta-banned.
Okay.
That one even surprised me, because it was so instantaneous. It was literally just from my name. So again, that just reinforces why I've not been terribly concerned about identity theft over the last few years. I'll just get it returned to me in the mailbox somehow. Like, you can have it back.
It's becoming more and more true the more I work with this guy and find out all the blocks that they put in his way. It's pretty crazy. We'll make it. Former CIA officer accused of stashing 300 gold bars in his house.
I get to some breaking news now back here in the U.S. A former CIA senior officer is accused of secretly stashing 300 gold bars in his house that he brushed off as work-related expenses, according to court documents, and two people familiar with his employment history. Julia Ainsley is joining us now at this exclusive reporting. Sorry, Julia. What?
I know. Harley, when I first heard this tip, I didn't think it was real. And then the court documents spelled out that there was a man who was an employee of a government agency that was found with $40 million worth of gold bars in his home. If you're wondering how many gold bars that is, the court document says it's about 308. What my team here at NBC News, Dan DeLuth and Gary Grumbach and I found is that that man was not just an employee of any agency. He was a high-level official with top secret clearance in the CIA, and that he not only lied about what he was doing with this money, but that allegedly he also lied about his background, said that he graduated from a college he did not attend, that he went to a graduate school he did not attend, and that he had a pilot's license that the FAA said he did not have. So he was arrested last week, and he is now in detention facing these charges of lying about his background and perhaps knowingly embezzling American taxpayers' money. I want to read you a statement we just got in from the CIA saying that after a CIA internal investigation identified potential violations of the law, CIA Director John Ratcliffe referred the information to the FBI for a law enforcement investigation. The FBI is working closely with our partners at the CIA and the Department of Justice as we continue to investigate this matter fully. So, Hallie, we will be staying on this, but what this looks like is that this was someone who was given currency. He was even paid in cash and watches that he said needed to be used in order to pay for operations that he was in charge of. But rather than keeping it in his office, they found $40 million worth of this gold, as well as $2 million in cash and 35 luxury watches in his home. So we'll bring you more as we learn it.
Please do. Julia Ainsley with that exclusive reporting along with Dan and Gary. Thank you, Julia. Appreciate that.
We thank you for watching.
Shut your mouth.
I can't. I was trying to think of how much, like how to articulate how much I hate the CIA. And I can't do it. I don't have the words, you know. Which I include those two bitches on that channel and that golem at the end as well. Those are all CIA people as well. I include them in the whole thing. It was NBC, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's the CIA.
It's retarded. It's retarded to think that he could. Who knows? Maybe that guy was clapping back and trying to do something, and they planted all that shit. We never know anything. But
come on.
It's
that guy.
only
that guy was. They were using that guy like a piggy bank, you know. And then when it got time to burn him and cash it in, you know, they just went and collect the gold and do whatever. It's probably not even a real person, you know. They just delete that person from the OSR
Right.
rolls, and now they've got $300 million in gold that's in the budget.
right.
Well, probably
And,
250
sure.
because they got to slide 50 to the FBI. You know,
The answer always that they're investigating is they continue to investigate. I think I saw a clip where they were asking Trump if they accidentally or if they hit a target that killed 175 children. That was early on in the Iran conflict. Oh no, we believe that was Iran. You know, their munitions fail all the time. Made fun of them or whatnot. And it's like, and then what was it? Who's the fucking drunk guy that's like the Secretary of War, I guess is what he's called now, Hegseth. He was trying to say that was the case. That yeah, we believe that was Iran, but we're still looking into it.
I mean, it's just so I can't even stand to hear about stuff like, because who knows if it's even true or whatever. And then also, like, these are people that are pretending they care about whether kids live or die. And Iran and the Middle East in general, I mean, aren't you just allowed to fuck kids up until they're like 12 or something anyway? So it's like, stop pretending that any of these people care whether kids live or die or whatever. You know, it's just like, it's all so fake. And then I saw Trump recently tweeted, or whatever it is that he does now,
Truths on his garbage platform
about how they're going to crack down on banks that are, you know, involved in financing or whatever. They're involved in child trafficking, smuggling, human trafficking. And I thought, isn't that exactly the same thing that was in 13818 and 13848 in 2018? Weren't we already supposed to be cracking down on banks that were involved in human trafficking or election fraud? Because JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, they're all still there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're all there.
Yep. That's where Trump says something like that, and then it goes through the CIA. As we were just talking about CIA, Ratcliffe did no cleaning out of the CIA, no mention of a necessary cleaning out of the CIA. He just takes over and it's business as usual, whatever his fucking role is, other than just being a puppet on the stage. Anyways, it gets put out there, and then all of a sudden you got asshats, and I haven't looked into them for a long time, but I guarantee you, Derek Johnson's like, this is where it's telling you, plain day, 13848, like I told you years ago, they have been confiscating assets of pedophiles for years now. This is just a movie, and it's beautiful optics. That's how that works.
Well, I mean,
and then all the fucking people that want to believe these dumbasses out there, these grifting pieces of shit, then they just sort of like, oh, there's more proof. Trump is God.
Biscuits has a Spanish Armada which flies under a Swiss Red Cross flag.
Or a Swiss Red Cross flag. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either. I'll take it as a compliment, but I'm not sure that it is.
Banks or temples? That's the way to look at them.
Well, I just look at them as treasonous organizations filled with treasonous people who have committed treason and should be remedied. That's
the way I see it.
Swiss people.
We only have 2 left on the wheel, and once again, the large slice has been avoided, as if the wheel has a mind of its own, but it is very ornery.
It did the same thing last week. It just got Sabrina and this one left. Weird.
But this is a good way to wrap it up, because getting into the spicy good stuff that we were all looking forward to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all stuff has been good, but we're always looking forward to what Sabrina says in GG Co. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. All right. Woo! All right, what do you got for us, Biscuits?
Well, let me get it opened up here. What do you want to see? The Hangman game? So I guess, we want to talk about when we were going. This stuff is close to release. We're just waiting on some. I don't even want to say what we're waiting on, because then they'll.
I know. I don't want to say it either. I just pray that it goes through.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking say what it is. And we just want to get past these last couple of hurdles. Please just get us there. And then this shit is going to be bouncing.
So let me.
Juxtaposition's calling for the buttering of the biscuits. Sexy.
Yeah, I don't really know how to respond.
Yeah, well, I can make a video about it if you guys want.
That's why I try to never go out in public, because I don't want to get buttered. So I've done quite a bit of refinement. It's still going to run a little slow on mine, but we've got mobile. So it'll be on the web, obviously, but it does have mobile views now, which I can't show you because I'm on my PC. But so it'll work on Apple phones, other phones, and tablets. And then I built sort of a slow mode here, so we can get rid of all the links and kind of run with less of the less graphic load or workload, whatever you want to call it. And added a bunch of pages to the wiki. Added all these purple here are all the Freemasons from that large group of Freemason research that I was showing you.
And that's all new. That's the newest edition.
Yeah, we had about 1,100 pages the last time we showed it off. We're around 1,550 now. And probably there'll be a couple hundred more charities. Like there was some crazy charities. Let me see if that I found when I started actually looking for these. No, it's not in there yet. Like Jeffrey Epstein, that one hasn't made the cut yet because it's still in the pipeline. Jeffrey Epstein had a charity called, it was called Coup, but with a Q at the end, COUQ. I thought, wow, that's weird. But anyway,
Weird.
so I was thinking, you know, I could probably get it up to like 1776 maybe, which might be a good number of pages to have in it. But somebody, you know, when we were playing let me show you let's not show you the Hangman too. All right. So I did some refinement on that also so that it could be played on mobile. And just to kind of clean it up a little bit. And I fixed the, you had some complaints about the clues here. And they were legitimate complaints. So I fixed it up. So, you know, whether it's an organization or a person or whatever, you'll get kind of a clue as to when they were born. And then, you know, once you get familiar with the tier structure in terms of sources, this stuff will make sense to you. What are we looking at here? A person born 1944. Started with R. What do you got here? Rose, maybe? Nope.
Rick.
No, the I was pretty good. What do you think? What is this? Let's just try
throw out some letters, y'all.
Epstein files.
Okay, here we go. This is card number 2, so we got some more Epstein files. So finance complex, Jeffrey Edward Epstein was a person involved with this person.
So this shows you what they're connected to. So it's telling you it's connected to the corpus of the Epstein files. It's connected to the financial complex, which is sort of like a group of organizations that deal in banking and stuff. And then also it's connected directly to the person, Jeffrey Epstein.
We want to see.
See? Nope.
We want a U.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, we're cooking.
We know who it is right now. It's Rudy.
Rudy Giuliani.
Definitely. So then we would just go to Rudy's page over here.
See, we can make learning fun for people.
Right. And I was thinking, you know, to put in like, okay, that didn't, I got to fix that. That's actually a thought. Let me just search for Rudy. I was thinking that, because that should have opened up his page. But it didn't. Why is that not? I got to work on that. So this is why these demonstrations are good. So then you can go over here and read all about Rudy Giuliani and all the conspiracy theories about Rudy Giuliani and all the actual evidence and court files, and then you'll have all the links. So, and everything that he's connected to, you can go through and see how it lights up the whole, you know, all the links or whatever.
You should have a link where he dresses up as a woman and him and Trump are like acting all fucking weird. You see that video?
Well, I got those pictures of Trump when he was dressed up like a woman with Roy Cohn. And then there was that weird.
Trump was dressed up like a woman.
I think so. I mean, I have a picture that asserts that it was him. And I mean, I guess, but, you know, pictures can be fake, whatever. But he was also, he did it in like some sort of weird commercial or something too.
Oh, dear Lord.
I think he cross-dressed in a commercial, but I'm not sure.
Well, Rudy made like a skit with him where he was all dressed up with big old fake boobs and Trump was.
Hey, I think that's what I was thinking about. Yeah, was it just a skit?
I think it was just a skit, silly video that they were trying to make, but it did not come across as funny nor anything other than just creepy.
This is, I don't know. This is weird. I'm not sure what's going on with this old dot.
Okay, what is this person? Tier 3, so not as high up in the hierarchy. Right. Is that what we're looking at?
Okay. This might be like some kind of influencer or something.
But why is that O showing up like that?
Maybe
it's definitely John.
Yeah, you think so? That didn't really help though. What should we put? I'm gonna just go with the.
Yeah, hit some vowels and see what we get.
McGraw-Hill, Robert Maxwell.
McGraw-Hill, Robert Maxwell.
Oh, so this is just like a middle initial, I guess.
John something.
Something. What
Right.
RSTLNE? What do they say on Wheel of Fortune? RSTLNE? Okay.
Oh, we should be able to get it now. I mean, at least what do you guys think? Throw a letter out there.
I'm just going to go. Oh, no.
Learning
Oh.
is fun here.
We got an R. What could that be? John R. John.
Try a D.
Oh. Okay. Still, I mean, that's a weird name.
Yeah, it's a weird last name. What is this? Greed.
It's probably not greed. I mean, that considering
Right, it doesn't spell right.
That would be too on the nose.
Greed.
P would. Well, November.
All right.
As an
November
American
1st,
publishing executive. President of the McGraw Publishing Company. I still don't know who that is. It's not that. I tried to read.
Weird.
That seems like a fake name right off the bat. Like if you're the CEO of a publishing company, your last name is Reed.
Right. John
Okay.
G. Reed. Never heard of him.
Me neither.
Tier 3, though.
Yeah. You know, that brings up an interesting point. Somebody was asking me when we were showing this the last time, because Apollo Management Group came up, and I said, oh, that's interesting. I read it. I was like, I've never heard of that. And so I said, well, how have you never heard of it if it's in this thing you built? And so I did. I made another little demo to explain it, but there's no need to go into that. I'll just say it. I mean, we got the oracular index from everybody, and they gave names, and there was a lot of the people and places and organizations and events that were in that original index, which cross-referenced with the Epstein files and Hunter Biden's laptop and, all of these leaked documents and stuff that I was able to collect. But all of those documents, I mean, there were millions of pages of text, and so there were organizations which were able to be entirely derived, like their entire page was able to be derived just by these scripts, because everything about those organizations that you can find on those pages, Apollo Management Group, came primarily from research that was done on a guy named Leon Black separately, because he was in the oracular index, and the Senate hearings on the Jeffrey Epstein files, because that was sort of the two vectors by which that Apollo Management Group data made it into the millions of pages of text corpus and research that was done to populate the wiki, and was in the data, because that's the great thing about these tier 1 documents, like the court documents and Senate documents and stuff, even though, when they're redacted and stuff, that's not great, but structurally they're great for searching. Once you get the text and keep the formatting, you can programmatically extract names of organizations, overviews of organizations, because court documents will often follow the same format, where you have a document number that has a certain pattern, and then the text that follows that number is always going to have a certain amount of content or a certain type of content, like the name of the organization, perhaps the board of directors, and so on. So I ingested so much of this bulk data, and so much of it was in the same sort of format, that there are swaths, well, I won't say swaths, but there are hundreds probably of entities that are in here which I didn't put there necessarily, consciously. And thank you, Jackie. And
Thanks, Jack.
But are essentially emergent pages in the knowledge base, just from the extraction of all of the other pages, which we sort of did target, or was in the cohort of the index pages. So I've been going through them and reading each one of them in order to proofread them and make sure that they're all ready for public, for the wiki or whatever. But as I say, it's, as you saw, there's 1,500 and some pages now. and each of them probably has somewhere between 5,000 to 8,000 characters worth of text on it, and all the
And you're
links
reading all of them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get through all of them before we go live. Yeah.
Damn, bro.
But I mean, and also, you have you have to go through and make sure all of the links work, and there are no dead links, and none of it. It all has to be. I mean, it's got to be polished up and ready to go.
Right. So we are in the final stages of making sure this is polished so that we can launch for all of you in the public. It's about to happen, people. We just need a couple more things to come into place. And I believe they will. Very soon, though. Shit's going to be popping off. Telling you, GG Co, yo. The final spin of the Gong event wheel, which will be Sabrina Says. And what better way to bring it to a close here with Sabrina Wallace. Kitty, kitty.
Bjorn says hello.
All right, let's see what we got. Ooh, there's a cool guy on here with her.
Yeah.
See if I fuck this up.
Not too bad.
Oh yeah, yeah. Fucking, I like that. Yeah, you're fucking retarded. If you fucking retarded, understand the difference. Yeah, let's start it over. You guys ready for this? 48 likes, 419 views. Yeah, baby. All right, let's go. You are fucking retarded if you don't understand the difference of how it works.
What about this pricing they're doing with everything from food, grocery stores, hotels? It's based on what you can afford. There's no more fixed pricing. That includes insurance and all sorts of things for 2 years now. So the price that you get, kind of like we used to do with hotels.com, you're looking for the best price. Now they're doing that in real time, and you're not going to know any better because you're at Walmart. But that price at Walmart is only for you. Based on what? Your bank account. So you want to talk about nefarious use of AI? It ain't in JPEGs or that guy making music to make his woman laugh. It's in things like price gouging. It's in things like the vehicle systems we have, where it's no longer just the breathalyzer. The car is reading your emotions and making decisions on how you should be driving. That's the kind of stuff where there should be discussion, kind of like our healthcare.
You are fucking retarded. Oh,
yeah. It's a good one to end on, because I do want to talk about pricing in a lot of ways. But I will tell you something that I have always agreed with juxtaposition about, is that the entire financial network, the stock market, everything is manufactured. As I was telling you the other day, I think it's like watching the stock market is like watching that equalizer screen on your stereo from 1999 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you could sit there and watch it and pretend like what's happening is not scripted, but it's literally just the music in a visual format, and that's all that the stock market, all the pricing, and all that stuff is. I mean, if you think about the Wi-Fi radar that we saw earlier, right? And radar in general, you're sending out a signal, and that signal is getting modified by some substrate and getting returned to you, and then you're decoding the delta in that signal. You're decoding the nature of the substrate from it. There's no difference in between the financial system that sits in between the Federal Reserve and the people in America that have bank accounts and jobs and get paychecks. There's no difference in between those two systems. The financial system sends out signals that are defined, and there is an expected modulation of that signal within the economy, and the return signal is received, computed, and thus the entirety of the system is monitored. It's not, the stock market's not an emergent thing where you understand how good the economy is doing or how these companies are performing. It has no relationship to any of that. It is the way the economy is manufactured. It is the equalizer visualization for the song and dance that is the fucking American economy. And, we always go back to this funny video that's on my Rumble channel where that guy gets asked to explain why the government borrows money when it prints money. And he basically just crashes out, like his operating system crashes and he can't answer it. And the mechanism that guy was trying to describe is defined in America. It is called funding liquidity creation. And somewhere around 90% of the money that's in circulation in the United States is created through funding liquidity creation, which is precisely when a bank loans out more money than it has, thus creating liquidity, creating money that didn't exist, and receives back interest on that non-existent money, which creates more money because the interest is programmed into the loan. And so the return amount that bank is going to receive is the total amount of money that they create with that loan. And an investment bank can take in $1 million and create $30 million by loaning it out at a 30-to-1 ratio. Your normal bank that you use, the bank that they tell you to use that doesn't cross state lines, and that's how you disconnect from the whole Federal Reserve System or whatever, that bullshit, they can only loan it out at like 10-to-1. But they all do it. Banks create the money. So of course, it makes perfect sense that the banks can just turn off your money because they're the ones that make the money. Nobody's getting the 9% of money that the United States Treasury makes. The banks get that. They have it all. And then they make the derivative fake money through funding liquidity creation that they distribute. And they display the visualized, equalizer, the pattern that we can all see and pretend that we can participate in with our fake money. But I mean, it's like funny money in a strip club, You don't have any real money once you have the funny money. You can spend it in there and, you might get you the things that have a price tag in dollars, but it's not real. And when the strip club shuts down, you've got nothing. You've just got funny money. And so Sabrina's right. It's a control mechanism. And it's getting more and more granular because, it's the complexity of the layers that they're putting in they're being layered in between us and the stock market, which I think used to be sort of the nexus of the American economy, so to speak, with the whole funding liquidity creation cycle. But it's been pushed down and down into these more granular sort of distributed network type systems where I think it is totally reasonable that, and maybe right now, but in the not too distant future for sure, the prices will change based on who it is that's walking down the aisle and picking up items. But I suspect certainly that happens online, with online shopping, because how would you know? I mean, you go online to compare prices and it's all you. Because bro, I'm telling you, like you saw what happened to me on Facebook. It's wherever you're going online, that's you. And online, to the degree that it's like some sort of entity, online knows where you are.
Right. There's not going to be any trick in this system that's coming in. Whatever it actually looks like when they make the swap over or however it's going to work or when they enforce it, I don't know, man. Elon Musk talking about how you're going to have more than basic income, just trying to spice it up a little bit. Talking about how you own nothing and be happy.
You're going to that's what I'd say. I could never have a kid because what am I do? When they get old enough, just tell them, okay, bud, here's the secret to life. If you can't beat them, join them, and you can't fucking beat them. So get prepared to join them. No, I don't want to do that. But I think you're right. Maybe there's nothing to do. I'm going to do the old, I guess, poison pawn attack. I know they're going to get me, but maybe when they get me, at least leave a bad taste in their mouth. Nothing else.
Try to do something. Werewolves and vampires.
Yeah. All of my assets are tied up in GGCo. I'm investing in my future peanut butter supply.
Peanut butter in prison, the greatest commissary known to man. But you need a little butter and you need a little honey for that biscuit.
Do they have biscuits in prison? Not yet.
They got They got
But-
burnt biscuits.
Not yet, but I mean,
They're about to have a burnt biscuit. I hope not, man. That's I hope that's not the
well, it
case.
won't be. It won't. I won't make it easy like Dean did. I can tell you that, and it's not going to be over some. I'll never do anything. There'll be no vigilante justice or anything like that.
Right. Well,
If
if you go
you-
to a prison down south, yeah, there'll be some molasses.
I love molasses. I used to do that when I was a kid. It's great.
Well, there you go. There you go. Spice up your commissary.
My goal, obviously, is that if they take me to prison, they'll have to just admit it was because I was so fucking annoying that they're sick of it. And I'll go, you know, if it's for that, I'll go, because the same reason that I would go to prison for contempt of court, because I would say, hey man, if you're going to charge me with contempt of court, this will be the closest you've ever done to justice, because it's all I got. It's all I got is contempt for every last one of them. So guilty on that account.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens here with the season of the Gong too as this progresses. Might be a little bit more focus on GG Co here in the near future, and I think everybody's going to be really excited when it comes out. I know I've been saying that, but that's how it works. But once it's here, it'll be like it's always been here, and then it's just going to get better,
I did.
and bigger.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to mention, I forgot to mention, with respect to pricing on GG Code, that everybody, I appreciate so much everybody having donated to get us to this point and help, because it's not been, we've had to do a lot in terms of some of these investments and stuff to try to make this thing where it will actually be functional, because you have to jump through hoops. So I really appreciate it. And everybody that donated is going to get the full value of their donation back in terms of membership on the once we go live with the site, and that'll be a little more clear once we get close to it. But you know, anybody that reached that founders level will have lifetime access. So if you're close, probably want to get there and just save yourself the trouble, because there's going to be a lot more than just these two things. I mean, this is going to be sort of the development portal for a number of projects, which I already had designed and on paper. So things are going to be moving pretty fast once we get it up and running. And
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, these two things are fun and kind of cool, but the more complex and more impressive work, I think, is shortly around the corner from this next milestone. So,
right. We're just going to keep building on. I think you got the foundation pretty much set and finalizing it. And then we'll be building on it layer after layer. People we were talking about in the oracular series about getting into the collector's cars, that's coming. But it's going to be steps, and this Wiki files thing popped up, and I think it's going to be like quite the tool for a lot of people. And then some of the games that you're going to involve in it. But yes, right now the founders level is at $500. As this thing grows, it'll probably go up. Just to give you an idea of how this business thing works. But anybody that's given, we're going to make sure that you're compensated for helping us out. Right there, you have a QR code on the screen. If that's not your thing, then in the link tree at the very top of my link tree that you find down below all my videos, the top one I do believe now is a donation to GG Co. And so we've got that set up too. And then you saw earlier Jackie gave on I believe the YouTube side of things. And so all these ways of being able to help us get to the next level, we are much appreciative of it. And we're going to do it as morally and ethically as business can be run. It's going to be fucking awesome to see how this comes together. I've also, for anybody that's been giving to me monthly, like on the Substack and on the Rumble and on the YouTube side of things, I've been rolling some of that into this. So I've been investing in this, and we're not going to let this fail. So we appreciate all the support. Biscuits, do you have anything to say before we close out for the season of the Gong episode 9?
No, I appreciate it. Thank you everybody for being here. Love y'all. That's all.
Yeah. So great to see y'all, and we'll catch you on the next one. And one more of and it was June 2nd, 2026. Season of the Gong, episode 9 with the Biscuits and D Booma coming at you. Look forward to GG Co. God bless you all, and look forward to the end credits. checking out the names of the production crew. But
Very
take care, y'all.
important.
Catch you on the next one. We got some good ones on there. Check it out.
Yeah,
Peace, guys.
great team.